The three topics I chose to talk about will be multiple intelligence, the mechanics of learning, and the brain. A quote to start us off is, "Everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it is stupid." That kicks us off into lesson 1. The theory of multiple intelligence was created by Howard Gardner. There were originally 8 intelligences, then he added existential in 2009. This theory basically proves there is no one version of smart. A lot of times schools focus on logical, mathematical, and linguistic verbal, excluding the other intelligences. Hence the picture in the top corner that says, "For fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb that tree." While there's a fish right there. But thankfully, this theory shows us we are all intelligent, just with different strengths and weaknesses. Another word for our differences is neurodiversity, which is the range of differences in individual brain function and behavioral patterns. So, practical application would be helping accommodate students accordingly. Any student who feels like test taking and school is not their strong suit should have a 504 or an individual education program. I personally have a 504 and get many helpful accommodations to succeed in school, like extra time on tests and assignments, tutors, and note takers. I won't read over the picture, but both programs work to meet the students' needs. Also, since a class is full of neurodiversity, I believe the way I teach should try to accommodate to different learners in different styles. Moving on, what are the mechanics of learning? Before understanding this, I wanted to refresh your brain with these terms. Mind-brain education science is where neuroscience, pedagogy, and psychology intersect. This can also be known as neuroeducation. Educational psychology is the study of children's brain development and function from their cognition and aptitude. This science helps facilitate learning for each different child, and a teacher can better teach by knowing more about a child's development. The 5 well-established concepts of MBE science are, first, that humans' brains are as unique as faces. All brains are not equal because context and ability influence learning. The brain is changed by experience. The brain is highly plastic. The brain connects new information to old. A neuron is the basic information processing unit. It's the smallest unit made up of a nucleus and cell body. The dendrite are the branches. The myelin sheath is covering over the axon. The axon is connector from one neuron to another. The synapse is the gap between neurons sending information through an electrical impulse, as you can see in the picture to the right. Neural pathway is information sliding through the connection. The myelin sheath allows electrical impulses to transmit quickly and efficiently along the nerve cells. Myelination is when the myelin sheath gets thicker. I added these pictures here because I like to think about it as a dirt path and a highway. So the bigger the road, the quicker you think the thought. When we have to think new thoughts in our brain, it's harder to think them at first. But then over time, we can rewire brains, building up the myelination, and think the thoughts faster. When we know the mechanics of learning and how a neuron works, we can apply it to every area of our lives. I chose a quote from my favorite quantitative physicist, Dr. Caroline Leaf, where she talks about a Bible verse and how it applies to science. We destroy arguments and every lofty opinion raised against the knowledge of God, and take every thought captive to obey Christ. 2 Corinthians 10:5. Linked science concept: when you objectively observe your own thinking with the view to capturing rogue thoughts, you, in effect, direct your attention to stop negative impact and rewire healthy new circuits into your brain. So I highly recommend reading her book, Switch on Your Brain, The Key to Peak Happiness, Thinking, and Health. I chose the picture of the girl smiling in the mirror below because she is currently working on rewiring her brain into believing that she is beautiful just the way she is. And just before, when we talked about the dirt road and the highway with myelination, when you think a negative thought over and over and over again, that becomes a highway in your mind. It is very hard to destroy the highways and remove them from our minds when we think negative thoughts over and over again. But that's the great part about science, is that we can rewire our brains. Here, Kobe Bryant says, everything negative, pressure, challenges, is all an opportunity for me to rise. This is why Kobe Bryant was such an amazing athlete, is because he didn't take the challenges and think about them negatively. He rose to the occasion and always thought positively. He could rewire his brain to thinking positively even when he lost games or played bad. Lastly, I want to go in depth about some key parts in our brain. The amygdala is in charge of emotions. It is also to do with our fight or flight response. The hippocampus is memory retention, strengthening neural pathways, pruning memories, remodeling the mind, which this is where neuroplasticity can happen. The prefrontal cortex is decision-making, executive functioning, forming plans and executing plans. Our prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed until our mid-20s. Practical application to this would be creating a low-stress learning environment for your students. You see, when a student is in panic mode, the information cannot process from the amygdala to the prefrontal cortex, which is vital to their learning. This doesn't mean we shouldn't equip students for stress, but it means we should create a peaceful environment for them to learn in. We can do this by using music for mood, community, and management. I can use humor and make personal connections with my students. I can also use images frequently. I will tell students that effort matters more than outcome. This will spark their neuroplasticity. They begin to rewire their brains to make themselves better learners. In summation, students should learn about their brain. Most importantly, neuroplasticity. When students know there are multiple intelligences and that they can actually rewire their brain, they will be unstoppable. I'm sure of it. I want to leave us off with a quote by Dr. Caroline Leaf. If you realized how powerful your thoughts are, you would never think a negative thought. Thank you.